Welcome back to another edition of the Founder Spotlight. Today I have the founder of Vitam, Brian Hart. Welcome, Brian. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing well, doing well. And you?
Pretty good. No complaints. Vitam has been around for a little bit here. It's a beverage that combines THC, CBD, vitamins, and minerals. What was the inspiration or the moment that, you kind of conceptualized this product in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the cannabis industry for 6 years. I used to professionally grow and sell cannabis, consulted on it. So it was just a culmination of that. And, I care about wellness. My father he takes a lot of vitamins and minerals every day. And I think just one day I woke up and I said, well, why not make a hemp beverage? And you try and make it the best it can be on a nutritional aspect as well. So.
Yeah. So kind of walk me through that R&D process behind developing the formulation, and what was that process like?
Yeah, well, so, first I had to hire somebody much smarter than me in formulation. Like, I'm not going to say that I know a lot about formulation.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked with the formulator and I let her know what the vision was. I just laid it out to her that I want this to be something where people can drink a beverage where they get nutrition from it. They can have a communal aspect to it, spend time with one another. I just laid out that vision and she did an amazing job. So the formulation was really me working with somebody, telling the vision, asking her to please make this the best it can possibly be. And I think we had an amazing result.
Yeah, what was that timeline in terms of coming from ideation through the formulation to ultimately launching?
I would say it was in 2023 when I was thinking about this, almost the middle of 2023, probably May, June. I was kicking around the idea, and then I got serious about it, probably June, July. And so I'd say June, July 2023, contacting a formulator, working with the HBA. I have to say, Chris Lackner, Hemp Beverage Alliance. I mean, they absolutely expedited the process, saved me a lot of stress. And so with that said, 23 around the middle, I'd say beginning of 2024, February is when I finished, the development of the can to what we see here for Vitam.
Mm-hmm.
So love these things. Yeah, I'd say I launched sales beginning of June 2024. So you could say it's been about 10 months of R&D, of working on the product, refining the formulation, coming up with the branding. And then, yeah, I'd say June 2024, beginning of it, launching sales. So almost a year.
Awesome. And so you mentioned it earlier, but you've been in cannabis for a while now. You've done cultivation, you've done consulting, you've done a little bit of project management as well. How did these different experiences, shape your approach as you began that process of launching Vitam and ultimately where we are now?
Great question. I would say that those experiences just gave me more perspective. Actually, originally I wrote my master's thesis using a neoclassical economics model to conduct an industrial analysis on the Colorado cannabis industry. A lot of people's eyes kind of glaze over when I bring that title up, but I also have to because it's nobody reads my master's thesis. So, but in the cannabis industry, it didn't matter that I came from you could say a well-educated background when I did my MBA. When I got in the cannabis industry, I had to work at a dispensary. I was the executive assistant to a manager, so I was selling cannabis. I was also growing cannabis and then consulting into it. So it was really a step-by-step process for me to, first of all, understand cannabis, the plant, understand how it works in a business framework. I mean, sure, you can write a master's thesis on it, but real life experience, that's where you get your education. And so yeah, I'd say all of that just helped me really understand the plant, understanding the components of organic compounds, understanding terpenes, and saying, okay, what can we use from the plant and how can we leverage this into, say, a hemp beverage? Also knowing that in the industry, you see there's a big curve or a big trend with hemp beverages, and it's only going to grow in the next several years.
Yeah, and so like you said before, you guys launched in June of this year, and you guys have seen some success. I believe you won Dallas Entrepreneur Club. Is that the correct thing? Rising Star?
Yeah, the Dallas Entrepreneurial Center. It's just an entrepreneurial group in Dallas. I mean, it's been an amazing resource. I actually worked with a couple of mentors from there, but yep, it did win an award. It's pretty much an up and coming entrepreneur award, and it's much appreciated. So I mean, it's a nice little thing to give some validation. But, there's so much work ahead. So yeah.
Yeah. So could you kind of walk us through what went into like criteria of what that award is, and then ultimately, like, is it just a recognition of that, or do you get time with a mentor, or any sort of like funding, or what all goes into that award?
Yeah, of course. So the award is just recognizing new entrepreneurs, and that's what the deck specializes in. Is it's new entrepreneurs, and it's providing resources for them. They're a nonprofit company. I mean, I've just been very active. I think one thing I've had to learn with starting a business is you need to grow your network. You need to work with people. So whether it's joining an entrepreneurial club, whether it's going to a hemp beverage alliance meeting, whether it's networking and finding mentors, all of that can really help your chances of success. So I just became very active in the deck to the point where I qualified for a nomination, and then went through a little bit of a process and ultimately won the award. Yeah, again, not too big of a deal. I like to say, I appreciate the validation, but right, it's just, hey, at the end of the day, it's just an award. The big thing is getting the business moving and growing.
Yeah, and well, congratulations on that again. I actually gave you a vote.
Appreciate that.
You had reached out. So on your website, it emphasizes that Vitam is the social drink for a good time every time. So as your tagline, how do you ensure that this message permeates every aspect of the brand, from product development to marketing and messaging as well?
Wow, I could probably talk about this for a while. It all starts with the values. I think taking a step back, we talked about COVID actually in the past, and I think American society is a society that's set up to be more of an isolated society. We work heavily compared to the rest of the world. We really don't get much vacation time. We don't spend much time with our friends and families, and that leads to isolation. And isolation leads to a lot of mental health issues, depression, anxiety. It's going back to the values and focusing on saying, all right, well, what do I want to accomplish with this beverage? I want this to be a non-alcoholic alternative. I want this for people to have some nutritional aspects. I'm not going to say this beverage cures cancer, but if I was going to go out one night drinking, I'd want to have something that would do the least harm to my body. So I'd switch from alcohol to a hemp beverage, and then I'd say, well, why not get some nutrition from it as well? Because the average American diet, we're very much deficient in vitamins and minerals. So when it goes back to talking about this being a social drink, I think it goes to the values about what's in the drink. Even in the branding, for example. So if you look at Vitam, it's slight, but you see this A, for example. Well, with this A, it's slightly curved, and it's actually it shows two people kind of coming together. I know it sounds a little bit funny, but it's something that means to me in the sense that there's a connection there. So there's some symbolism even in the packaging. Yeah, I think when it just comes to your original question about Vitam being a social drink, how do we reflect that? It's just practicing that in the everyday values, how to operate the company. What do we want to encourage people? What's in our branding, for example? And also in the messaging. Right now, I'll do tastings 3 times a week, having people try the beverage, and I'll tell them, this is meant for you to have a good time. It's meant to get some nutrition, no hangover, and it's meant for you to enjoy and spend time with people.
I love that. So let's kind of shift gears into that operational aspect, like you mentioned. So, besides obviously the ongoing, constantly changing regulatory issues that happen state to state and everything, what has been the biggest challenge you've faced since launching Vitam? And then, how did you ultimately overcome that challenge?
Well, I think there is a solution to every problem. So it's just a matter of time and resources. So if I was going to say what the biggest challenge would be to running my business, it's just managing the current resources I have, being time. I'm not funded. Maybe I'll go that route, but I've been bootstrapping everything. So, being as a lean founder, I have to get everything done myself. I have to be creative in finding solutions. So I think really the biggest challenge for me is just time management and how to scale my business as quickly as possible with the resources that I currently have.
So, you mentioned resources there a couple times. How big is your team right now? Is it just you, or do you have a few people working with you? Just you?
Me. So, I do have a partner. He's a small percentage equity holder, but he helps me more discussing with potential investments, as well as, some issues with the law. So he's an attorney, so that helps. He's in one of the biggest cannabis attorney practices in Texas, or the U.S., I should say, Ritter Spencer Chang. But when it comes to operations and getting things done, it's just me right now. So you're seeing me very much at the early stages. So Vitam will grow. There will be other people that will be joining, but right now it's getting Vitam going. That's what I'm doing.
So since it's just you, has your main channel been direct to consumer, or are you pushing distributor relationships? And what does that look like as a business in terms of sales?
Absolutely. For me, the most important thing is product validation. So what I've been doing is, since I've launched sales, I've been going directly to liquor stores, for example, and speaking with liquor stores, and not just liquor stores, bars, restaurants, coffee shops. And I've been saying, hey, this is a product I have. Let's try it out. And then I'll support by doing tastings. I'm doing tastings at least 3 times a week. Now, what's valuable about that is, of course, for the customers being, say, the liquor store, I'm promoting sales. And, I do a good job of selling because people see the passion I have in it and I'm able to explain it well. But also what's valuable for me is I'm building more and more of a customer profile. I'm seeing more and more who are the people that will stop and talk to me? Who are the people that when they drink this, they just go, wow, this is refreshing. And, I get that a lot, which I love. So right now it is working with businesses. I'll be launching online sales in the next few weeks. So by the end of October, I should have online sales. That'll be another way for me to scale. And I'm happy to say that I have been just talking with distributors. Finding the right distributor can make or break you. So it's important that I take my time in having those conversations. So, you could say that right now, like any business, it's growing. It's finding that product validation. It's getting to know your customer and honoring your customer and making sure you treat your customer well and know who your customer is. And then understanding all those aspects to where you can then really ramp up online sales. You can market and target on online advertising or with your distributors saying, hey, this is who I found. So that's the process I'm at.
So if you could, sum up Vitam's mission in one sentence, what would that be?
Well, it would be to provide a non-alcoholic alternative that provides nutrition and encourages people to socialize and reduce the amount of loneliness. Big
mission there.
Yeah, it's sometimes you think like, oh, can I really make a difference? But I'd say yes. But this is a work in progress. But I think what really helps drive me, especially when because hey, every entrepreneur has good and bad days. Especially the bad days, what helps drive me is say, hey, well, I believe in this. I believe in cannabis. That's why I've worked in this industry for 6 years. But I also believe in my business that it can provide that platform for people to get together and not feel like they have to drink alcohol. Which I'm not going to poo-poo on alcohol. It's just some people want to have another alternative, and there's a lot of medicinal benefits to cannabis. You have to be careful because there needs to be studies that validate this, but there are a lot of benefits. And I can tell you, working at a dispensary, especially there's a medical portion of that, I would see patients come in every day. I can tell you, if anybody questions the medicinal aspect of cannabis, go sit in the lobby of a medicinal dispensary and just wait the whole day and see the people coming in and out.
Yeah, so you've mentioned this a few times. So community building, seems to be a very core aspect of Vitam. And, how do you plan to continue to foster that sense of community among consumers, especially as you expand beyond the local tastings and, get that direct to consumer and distributor relationships in other states as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something I think about constantly because I don't think I necessarily want to make a community based on Vitam. Like say, hey, everybody get together and now you drink Vitam. That sounds nice. Maybe it'd be great for sales, but I don't necessarily want to make Vitam the key component. The key component is people spending time together. Instead of saying, hey, get together and drink Vitam, get together and have a barbecue and drink some Vitam while you're there. I think for me, it's finding the right channels. I think it would be very difficult for me to try and build a community while building my business as compared to saying, hey, what are some good channels or some good partners I can work with? Let's say, for example, a volleyball community. Could I provide this drink so some people don't have to drink alcohol? Also because of the vitamins and the minerals I have are also electrolytes. They get to some refreshment. They get to hydrate while playing volleyball, and they get to get zoned while they play the game. So for me, I think it's several stages. I think it's finding the right partners to promote Vitam with, and again, saying, hey, look, I don't want Vitam to be the main focus. I don't want people just staring at a can and worshiping it and drinking it. I just want people to get together, have fun, and also use my product while doing so. So I think there's that aspect, but then there's the bigger vision I have. And I think I'll be able to translate this and reach more people as my company grows. For example, whenever I can really provide advertising and reach millions of people. And through that advertising, I want to talk about, the epidemic of loneliness report that the Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, he published that report in the summer of 2023. And he was talking about how the number of hours have reduced dramatically when it comes to the amount of time we spend with our friends and families. And that amount of isolation and loneliness has, again, triggered a mental health crisis. If you talk to people who are trying to find a therapist, the therapists are booked 6 months in advance. I'd like to see that my company will grow at a stage to where it'll be easier to amplify that message where it's saying, hey guys, it's good to work hard, but get out of your home. Get out of your head sometimes, get off your phone, go and meet with some friends. If you want to use Vitam as an excuse to say, hey, you know how some people say, let's grab a beer and catch up? I want the tagline for my company to be, grab a Vitam and connect. And I want to just encourage people to get out there and do it. You don't need my beverage to do so, but it's just one of those excuses like, hey, let's go fishing or let's go shopping. Let's grab some food. It's like, hey, come on over to my place, have a drink, let's talk about life, and let's actually engage and not be alone so much.
I love that. And I always like to end these conversations with and you mentioned the HBA and Chris and everyone over there. So, what brands inspire you, or which brands are you drinking besides Vitam?
Well, first I gotta say, before I even go to talk about brands, I have to highlight how beneficial the Hemp Beverage Alliance has been. I have to talk about how great Chris Blackner has been. This is just a great organization of people that help promote hemp beverages, and we want to police ourselves and make ourselves be the best group we can be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's partners within there like Vertosa, for example, an emulsion providing company. I've gotten to know Harold Hahn, the CSO, pretty well. We've communicated on many occasions. He's helped me with some studies, and I have to say, Vertosa has been an amazing partner for an emulsion. I love those folks. They've been wonderful. And I even hired a coach, Doug Fulton, and he really helped me as well. So first, I just want to highlight and stress the value of the organizations that I've been talking to or I've been a part of, the people I've been working with. I think when it comes to beverages that provide inspiration, well, of course, you have Gatorade, for example. They came out really with the first drink that provided some recovery in sports, and I think Vitam has a lot of overlap, of course, because of the vitamins and minerals in there. I think you look at some other beverage brands, kind of like Vitamin Water, for example, where it made it kind of cool to drink vitamins, and get some nutrition while you're out drinking it. And I'm happy to say my product has much less sugar than a Vitamin Water, so that's a good move forward. But I think just talking to some of the other brands out there, like you got to give credit to where it's due. Can, for example, they're a big one and they're one of the first, and they have such a huge presence. And you look at a company like Breeze, it's amazing what they're able to do with online marketing. So I think there's several different brands that you can see what they're doing a really good job at. And I think it's inspiring because, hey, look, right now I'm the little guy. I'm trying to grow and build the business and scale it. And you see some of these other folks that are big in the industry. So, I think those are some of the folks that just give me some inspiration.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Brian. And until next time, guys, cheers.